All right, my friends, time to get into a little recap what we talked about last night on YouTube and predictions moving forward for the week. So, on the daily chart last night, we came through on the tubes and said, well, a GP tag rise would be always the first thing to look for. So, if this is yesterday's high-low candle, you're going to look for anything above yesterday's lows, which was 21,648. We're going to look for the support there at yesterday's lows, moving up to the golden pocket, which we got. So you've seen some orders and some calls from us onto that upside, right? So we were looking at anything and everything to do with the 1 minute anchor VWAP, rolling that low position back up as we discussed on the YouTube video. So if you come into, just bring these up right here. Get to the old NQ sauce here. There we go. So as we discussed, we put a 1 minute open, high, low, close for, and we said go long when the anchor runs into it and catches up to price action, and short down into it. So we had the lower lows and lower highs stacked up, finally fell into the anchor. And as we said, the open, high, low, close had no tag. So this is a first tag. Now it did consolidate a little bit there, but all it did was create the low into support, higher low, higher high structure, and continuation as expected. So we wanted to go 1 minute VWAP hunting for that golden pocket, right? So that little gap down 1 minute open, found our VWAP support, found the push to the golden pocket, and relaxed exactly where we said it would relax as well. So we got all the way up to 21,946. We can come back into 5 minute chart here on TOS, and then we can see again a couple different things held with that anchor. So obviously the standard VWAP with that opening anchor held pretty well because that is just a starting calculation. You can use that first VWAP tag like the anchors do, but looks a little bit better with the anchor, a little easier on the eyes. All the way up to the GP here, we ran her all the way back, and then if we drop down to the minute, we've seen multiple gaps. So as we posted in Discord this morning as well, it was just kind of gap hunting. We've seen it kind of failing the gap right here, and I said, yeah, I'll probably go down to the lower gap right here and chase that down. And then of course we left a paired gap up here. So if the chart tells you, well, just reverse it and come all the way back. There's no such thing as a straight line, right? So we don't look at trades that are starting up here and just all the way down without true and tried catalyst, right? So if you see a huge dump into support like a gap and a VWAP, you're obviously going to expect a bounce because nothing goes in a straight line. So the confirmations were pretty awesome here. We came into the volume weighted average price. We had the gap filled, and then we're pushing up, right? 1 minute came back up, broke structure, back to that upside, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and all the way back to the gap. So something we already discussed in Discord as well, just kind of watching and waiting to see how she goes. So we come back over to the ES. And again, this is always what we look for. So last week's high low is going to be in teal, right? So last week's high, 6109. Low all the way down here, overlap 59, 68, 69 there. And that was the high low of the weekly. So again, it's going to look very similar here. We'll go to 5 minute, clean it up here a little bit, like we always do. And we got that 6,000 squeeze. So again, gap down, came up, chasing the GP, and lo and behold, look where the rejection was. Oh, you guessed it, perfectly to the penny at the 50%, 6,039.15 golden pocket of the weekly. And of course, we got the daily 60.32.22, which we discussed as well, which would be that final ending long target. And like I said, I'm just going to go long to run the VWAP up to the GP. And you know me, goodbye to the market up here, potentially for the pullback, because again, nothing goes in a straight line. So we went over a few things here for the downside, and we're going to be watching today, as in Monday, to close the structure on futures. Again, SPY has a little better outlook here, but futures has to catch up. And we're going to start looking for those back tests on the gaps that we had discussed here, right? Back test on some of the 100 EMA magnets that we have. We just got to start closing under the 10 SMA. So if we get catalyst or news or something that is brand new that shoots us back over the 10 that we don't see coming and pushes up, great, swap bias, no big deal at all. All it is a simple bias swap at the golden pocket levels, right? So last but not least for this morning here, we'll get into further predictions like always. We always set this up the same way. I'm going to come into our daily chart here. We're going to take the last trade day, that beautiful short call Friday. Position yourself with a high-low fib. And of course, we're going to be opening inside the candle, so it doesn't really matter which way you pop the extension on. And as we discussed on YouTube as well, we're going to look for it to open up, hold yesterday's lows, go to the golden pocket. Clearly, futures will represent that as well, but SPY working out quite well. Now, the first tag and magnet back still leaves us open with a golden pocket for the daily on SPY, because again, futures can hit it and then it repeats itself on SPY's open. SPY is more important than ES, so we don't really worry about ES doing a first tag and only tag on the golden pocket on the daily high-low like we suggested here. We're going to wait for the SPY to potentially come back up. Does it have to hit? No, we've seen many instances where stuff shies gaps, shies golden pockets, and goes wherever it wants. The market's going to do that. We will assess the market, as we always do, minute by minute, hour by hour, and look for the reflecting plays. So today we're obviously going to look for the same old, same old. If we are above yesterday's close, which is the white dash line right here, a nice pop into the golden pocket would be warranted. Now from there on out, do we go long? Do we go short? Are the catalysts there for each one? Well, that's up for the market to decide, and all we got to do is react. Easy as that. That's the nice part. So we'll find some intraday plays today, like always. And as we come into SPY's first tag metrics, because again, we just put last week's high-low on. We have yesterday's high-low on. And I do want you guys to watch. Again, I'm not long biased. You watch the video. But if we do happen to get over the daily GPs here and start moving into the weeklies, and for some odd reason cap over 600 and start going up, fine, we can swap bias. But again, nothing on the charts, nothing on the feeds, nothing anywhere else is showing continued bullish action. Because if we come back to that daily chart, as we discussed, we're getting the lower low on the RSIs, lower highs with the divergence of action. We're getting that MACD cross. All last week we were talking about the short. We took shorts out, call sells on 600s, saying by the end of the month we won't be over 600. And we sold those right here into that 599, 598 break, sold 600s, and then of course got paid pretty good. And then of course lower lows, lower highs, as we will continue the shorts because, well, everything needs a break in the market. And if you guys are still continuing the thought process on V reversal buy highs right under yesterday's lows, well, time to start back at year one, because we gotta learn that nothing can go in a straight line, even V reversals. So the indicators are telling us, the trend dominancy is telling us we are under the 10 SMA, and we're only looking for some of those nicer pullbacks to get bought up as well still for the remainder of 2025. We're not looking for the death yet of 26, of course. We have a whole video on it, but the gap fills, the moving averages, and some of these GPs and double gaps that we have seen down here, where we have multiple double gaps, which just because one is filled doesn't mean that the double gap is still not very prominent. But we'll end up back down here in the 530, 540s. Now, eventually, that's obviously not a call for this week or anything like that, unless we get a swan catalyst, which, again, we'll watch for, but everything is on deck for the random turnaround right here. Now, if a trap is set and it wants to push above that 600 one more time to fail like a weekly top, that's still fine for me. I'll just roll contracts out and keep the short swing on. For that being said, for the day trade here, now anything under that golden pocket, so we just gotta, even if it pops up into that daily, you're looking for the continuation to the red side underneath yesterday's high-low golden pocket under 596.16. Okay, so you still have that effect where if we are above yesterday's close, as we discussed, we have a push into the GP. If this GP wants to push a little higher into the weekly, then we get closer to that entry where our call cells are, and then it just hovers, does nothing, waiting for those catalysts. That's perfectly fine. We're just going to react and go accordingly. So again, above yesterday's close, we should magnet up right here. So the first play is going to be long of yesterday's close for the opening scalp. Get our nice little Monday payday in and stack onto our swing trades that we had long over the night that had some nice fills. So the secondary trade after the long is this one here, where it pushes up into either 596, 94, 597 area, and then can potentially lag and then hopefully get a catalyst to reject and move back down. That means our 600 call cells will be safe. These will still open up in nice green from obviously the entry price here. So we come all the way back down. It's all obviously credit, so time works for us. So we will be looking for that continuation to just stay under. And even if it does have a couple of chop consolidation days, waiting for Fed speaks, waiting for hints on rate cuts, waiting for war on Iran news, that's just what we have to do. So with that being said, long to short is still the move right here. Anything above yesterday's close, push as high as 597. Watch for direction up there. Watch for your confirms up there. And then we'll be able to watch for a continuation move. Last but not least that we'll cover here is the old VIXY. And as we've been watching this guy, if we zoom out a little bit, remember the lows, then peak and highs, higher lows, higher high, little bit of a slip low there, and then of course now back into territory of awkward trend dominancy. But again, when we go to the longer standing time frames, we have witnessed very good MACD starting to grow, very good RSI starting to grow, obviously reflecting the SPY's MACD inverse, right? And same with the RSI. So when you see that SPY starting to crack and go down, VIX has its opportunity to go up. On the daily chart, we are still just consolidating at that 100 EMA daily, remember? So we wanted to get up to the 23s here, which this golden pocket range is at on the daily. Has to break up and over 21.23 to continue. We were struggling at 20 for many, many, many days last week. Over under, we're going to use the same thesis here for 20 and 21. So if we do pop back up and the short starts within the early part of the week, we start closing above 21. On the macro sense, we're going to be looking at that 23. We're going to be looking up here in the channel of the golden pocket, and we're looking for that magnet long for the VIX. If we drop 21 and then reject and start going under 20, then we obviously have an easy bias swap back to the long side. And as day traders, it's always our job to figure out exactly what's going on without guessing, as we are in and out, making money both ways all day, every day. So that is the full prediction, and we'll catch you on the next video to see how it comes.